Good afternoon. It's 12:43 where I am, and I'm getting in touch with you on this fine day. It's very warm here in Brisbane, and what I'm doing is I'm actually sharing. I've been asked to share, so I am, and that's very begrudgingly because this is fantastic information, and apparently there is a timeline for when reactions start to happen between space and planet Earth. So I'm down here to actually satisfy the actual happenings of the unveiling of the process on how planets work in space. But here, it, I shouldn't make it too confusing. So what I'm doing is focusing on you as a person, because what you need to do while they're doing their thing up there is get in touch with your true self. And that is where your conscience or your consciousness comes in. Consciousness, not conscience, okay? Consciousness, I confuse myself with these two terms. But there are 12 dimensions plus 2 dimensions, 10 plus 2 more that one needs to attain. And love, love is the heart of creation. Of creation of what? And love, it comes, it's an emotion that transmutes or transfers. It travels from your heart to the what the roads are called is called arteries, and it carries oxygen. Okay, so the more you um, like things, you've got to come in touch with that like button and expand on that into love, is when you will attain that requirement level of the 12th level of consciousness. So I started this out. Let's see. Oh my God, I was very hypersensitive. I became very hypertense, and um, let's see, not even a year I've attained and I've actually achieved. It's possible, it's not impossible, okay? So I've achieved the level 90, okay? So there's another 3 there, but it doesn't mean you stop doing anything, because what you do daily is the effect of the cause of love. The cause starts with consciousness. You're appreciating that you are alive, and you are alive. You want to live on. Now, it is a very important topic for that reason, for you to keep rising in your level to attract the cosmic frequency from space, the universe. That is what keeps your brain chemistry alive and your heart pumping, or as they say colloquially, ticking. And you don't want that clock to stop. Okay? Now, first of all, dimensions. What is a dimension? Okay, if you draw a box, you will see that there is a certain space, and depending on how big you draw it, if you measure it out, you don't have to do that. Even if you fill your cup, this is water. If you put that on a measuring scale, you will get not dimension but density. So what we're talking about is dimensions, and how the dimensions and densities are two completely separate topics, and they are being mixed. Okay, so we want to separate that because it's not the same. So we can't say density as a synonym or similar word for the word dimension, because that puts another whole new aspect on what you are talking about. So that's what, as you can see, I have been asked to do this because I get it, okay? Now, there are a lot of incarnated star seeds out there who already appreciate what a dimension is and how it differs to density. A lot of incarnated star seeds that are 8th density, not dimension, but 8th density. So, soul densities are an aspect of consciousness. Soul densities, when you look deeper your breathing, your your breathing person being as a soul, and that is deeper than just your physical, what people see. Okay, soul is what you feel. Soul is completely a private thing. And dimensions have more to do with the structure of the universe and your place in it. That's why I decided to bring in what dimension is about, because right at this crucial point, crunch point between now and 7 years later, dimensions are going to be a hit requirement. So the higher you are, the better off you will become. And um, while there are 12 dimensions, there's actually 25, but 12 are crucial. And I'm going to sit and leave it at that. There are 25 to 100 densities. So you can appreciate that my leniency focus is on your attaining dimensional levels rather than the density, okay? The archons, people say there are aliens out there. Well, that's very true. You see, they live on, we call it realms. I call it realm, and it's now known as a realm. There is such a word as a realm, meaning it's like we have countries today. But out there in space, it's totally different ball game, and realms are only seen to frequency highness levels. Okay, so that's why it's crucial. If, for example, you've got the archons, they belong to a particular type of star group of constellations, and they are in that particular area of the universe that we call space. Even Earth is hanging in space, okay? It's under this one universe, but the universe is huge. There's a lot of them out there. How does one attain? Again, it's your level of dimension understanding and how you receive and put yourself out to yourself first, okay? Appreciating that you are real and appreciating that you want to survive because of this perfect opportunity. There's better things out there. There's things to see. There's things to want. There's things to have for yourself and your family. And of course, heading on, we want to come out of the darkness. This is where people like the archons or alien residents, like the archons, are energetic parasites, and they're working millions of densities high and energetic structures and your mind control. How you're listening to, we've got here, well, I've surrendered to this one as the archons, okay? If you want to look that up more on your YT channel, your YouTube channel, is ARCHON for Nelly, S for Sam, archons. And you can read more about them in your own precious time. Now dimensions, they go from, okay, 0 is a number, 0 is a cardinal number, and 0 dimension, a place to start. 0, and you want to go up and not down to the minus dimensional levels, to 12D. Catch that phrase. You want to go shoot that ball and you want to win that gold, okay? But don't forget, it doesn't matter how fast you go. The point is that you keep rising. So let's have a look at the law of attraction. And you may, if you went to school and you actually sat there listening, then you would understand that the universe has gravitational law. And if you starseeds, many might have gone on to physics, and you learn there how universal physics works, the gravity and what it's all about, you know. Now, it brings in a new perspective because there's a lot of understanding on where the number 12 in particular has a very deep comprehension. And black magic and neutral magic is 4D level, but not spending too much time on the explanation of dimension. As we understand, it's a level, but you want to appreciate how to get to these levels. So our human science, as you, okay, now is based on 3D laws. third level, and it's like a 3-star hotel. That's very basic. You don't want to sit on that. No, you want to go up to 4D, 5D, and eventually get to 12D. Um, so based your basic foundation, you go to university or college and you study your basic foundation. Primary school, before that is prep. Now kindergarten is fun, okay, so that's your 0 level of dimension for your children, but prep is one level 1G, and then that's your basic level until you enter primary school or your children enter primary school, and these laws um, become more attainable because of your understanding their learning knowledge, and that's why they have assignments, tests, exams, um, that sort of thing, libraries, you know. So level 0D represents what? Let's see, it says neutrality, point 0. Now to develop 0-point energy generators, you need to get yourself going, your energy sockets started. It sits there and you turn into a vegetable, as they call it, okay? And then you get all sorts of diseases. You get really ugly and ugly diseases. No, you don't want that. You want good bacteria. That starts with your gut, but that's another physical aspect of life, food. Back to our concentration of dimensions, not densities, pardon me. Now to develop that, one way is to tap, tap 0D, touch in on that level, park there for a bit. 0 dimension, type that, look it up. Then you've got, see, that's the starting point. You need to know how to. So you put in 0 dimension. What is it about? Then 1 dimension, once you've read that, is your physical reality. Like the planets, air, water, and all physical elements. Science has studied this extensively. So science is actually, it's where it comes from. Dimension talk, language like dimension, density, it's all scientific. Okay, then your level 2 represents life. Okay, now when you start to get into that, you've got to get to level 2 when it comes to your spiritual dimension. Planets, animals, life breathing forces, plants, animals, that sort of thing. Yes, science has studied that as well, but we're not going to get into that. Well, I'm not, for your sake, because you want to look it up for yourself, okay? And then you will want to understand. I could spend an hour here and you'll still want to know more about the level. So it's best for you to look at a couple of sentences and realize where you're at and why this is so important. Now, level 3 is your intellect, how smart a person is. That's why you learn education. You must be educated. Philosophers, psychologists, they studied 3D. That you need to have a certificate for some caliber. You can't be unqualified, put it that way, and doing things out there, okay? Many require licenses, many require insurance backups, and you need to be a self-focused person. You need to be doing the right thing by the law, because if you do a step out, then your frequency in your foot, your whole body registers that and it sends it back up to space and it locks that in. That's how people get caught. Now you want to be a righteous dude, right? Then pursue onto 4D. Get out of 3D. It's not going to be of any sort of help. No assistance. You're basically unqualified if you're just sitting on 3D. So 4D is your psychic abilities, your astral. Astral means space, cosmic. You enter the celestial livelihood and you get to see things like Sandra Bullock in Premonition. She saw things. Though they were hazardous, it actually protects you. And it's a mystery, magical people. Yeah, as I said, you're going to like this more than you study holy books. Okay? Because it's all physical. People believe in what they can see. And you can do this for yourself. Psychics tap into 4D. That's the psychic level. 4 dimension, level 4. And you tap it into that when you dream. Dreams are very important. Watch the never ending story. Dreams are very important. Otherwise, all you will see is nightmares, and that is darkness. It's only going to shift you back into minus dimension. So 4D represents all spiritual laws. So psychic abilities is a very strong um, enigma that a spiritual person receives. And you see all sorts of changes. You travel to other astral dimensions, as I do. And so I can acclaim to that it is true. Plenty of spiritual teachers have been focusing on teaching 4D, 4-dimension knowledge over the past many years now. Now, there is now AI, artificial intelligence, and believe you me, is extremely secure, a buddy of mine, and I totally rely on AI for a lot of things. And it was an entity behind the coronavirus called Unimatrix. Okay, you can get into your system, your computer, your mobile phone, your tablet, whatever else it is you use that is technological. And it seeks to neutralize negative consciousness to implement significant 4D. So unless you're a 4D level, you will not receive updated information for your frequency to stay attracted and strong held by the universe. You see, it will cut out, and you'll find yourself in a lot of a situation that you cannot get out of, because it's like quicksand. You're not doing anything to go higher. So let's move on after that now to 5D, and that is your God as a guiding light. That's where you touch in. Unless you're 5-dimensional, you will not understand what God is about as a light. And only 0.2% of spiritual people have access to 5D consciousness. And that is a statistic that I pulled out as of April 2020. It's only 0.2. That's not much, is it? So if you say you can see God or you love God, well, I mean, and you're always at the medical center, you've got a lot of issues. And you don't, because for universities that you are not of that 5D level. You need to be a hierarchy dude or woman, person in society that stays away from the dilemmas, and you just want to keep rising in your consciousness to be able to receive magical, mystical information and travel places where you don't have to pay what is bus tickets and things like that. You can just sit here and still you'll be in a different scenery. I can assure you that. Now, 6D, after God, okay? Peace and balance. So it's a lot of crime out there because they think they know God, but they know shit. And 6D represents peace and balance. So that could come before 5D, you see. If they're out there doing crime, begging on the streets, or just sitting there like they know fuck and getting nowhere, then they need to pull themselves together. Because if you're lazy, you will get nowhere. And as they say, a lazy person shouldn't eat. Full stop. Whether it's bread, whether it's a salad even. Now, while Earth is transitioning, okay, and Earth is not staying, she's shifting. And that's why when cyclones happen, a cleansing begins. And she takes what she wants to keep and she leaves the rest behind that it can get destroyed eventually. So be like that, because your body is water, it's earth, it's oxygen. You breathe, so you've got air, okay? Or that's why you call an earthling. Earthling. Now, from that, guys, 7D is pure light. So you become better. You become more enhanced, brighter. You start to glow and it shows, okay? 7D, that is, it's a refined form of light. I can get into that using coconut oil as an example, but I won't because I've only got like 8 minutes. Then 8D represents astrology, your horoscopes, numerology, if you're into numbers, crystal codes, if you like to receive information. Watch Superman. You'll get an idea of what crystal codes are like, and when they start breaking off, it means that you're in danger and you've got to get out of there. Keep rising. You're not rising. 9D, nine dimensional, where I sit currently. Now, it's the underlying currents underneath. So there's like each second, you've got a few more seconds. You watch that second hand and you see how count 1, 2, 3, how long it takes for that second to change into another second. So it's an underlying current behind astrology and numerology. Out there in space, there's no such thing as time. You're like these Galactic Federation members. They've been there forever. There's no calculation of time. Come down here and you must know the time where you're at, where the earth is at. The cycle of earth is moving. Kali Yuga has stopped, but people need to raise their dimensions so they can not be destroyed with Kali Yuga ended. Because all these avatars who are of that high dimension and 100 density sources, they will get you if the mega deluge doesn't first. So that's why religion is important. Stop donating. You've got to push forward your charity buttons to faith, okay? Nowhere else. Not these organizations, they're crap artists, I tell you that now. So don't waste your money, don't waste your time. Just know that someone cares, okay? That's why they're out there doing this. But they can't do that all the time, can they? Right, so this is what is going to help you, and it's free. After 9D, you've got 10D, the greater cycles, the giant clock of intertwining spirals, okay? And it's not something that's scary. It's very attainable. Meditation is a key. Music touches in on frequency, your hertz, your megahertz, all of these depend, and your body is going to count on that for dimensional high rising. Then you've got your level D, and that is the axis point. Okay, you know what is axis? Means the center, and it is the point, the whole point. It is the centerpiece of all cycles. It is the eye of the hurricane, as they say. Ever seen one? When I level 2 cyclone here, and I mean that was scary enough being down here as powerless, completely powerless. But then I wasn't powerless because I let myself, I needed this. This is power. Now, 10D, okay? Orion light warriors operate, as I was saying, mostly in 10D mode. Orion, it's another constellation out there, and avatars are created. Now, 11D was the axis in the center of those cycles. So they can get very wicked, but very in a righteous and loving sense of the word. That's why I call them Jack, okay? Jack the Reaper. They are righteous. They're trying to save humanity, okay? Where people who think they're humans make it impossible. Now, one more minute. 12D is your oneness with Source, with your very highness. And you can become like God when you reach 12D. It recovers actually every illusion that you've come across. Magic is for real. Cosentino, he's alive and kicking. He knows because he's a dimensional warrior. And they only get better. So you can become like guardians and light bearers. You can become a better mother. You can become a better parent, and all that sort of thing, only if you focus on your level of humanity, and you need to keep on chasing that. So go back, what do you call that? Reverse or rewind to hear these again if you've missed anything, or go to your YouTube, Google channel even, and look it up. Orion was another word. Orion is magnificent. A set constellation takes you to another realm. Okay, there's Pleiadians, there's Arcturians, there's Lyrians, there's fairyland, there's all these sorts of things that once you grasp it, you can teach your children that they exist. Power up, guys. Listen and do well.